Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Quick interruption before we start the M3 podcast. This is part 2 with Zach. So if you did not see part 1, which we uploaded last week, make sure you go back and check that first. And now we're going to jump into part 2 with Zach.
My entire Marine Corps career, and it boils down to communication, like kind of again, but I've always had this sort of business mindset. I grew up really poor. I was having this conversation with my stepdaughter last week, actually. We were road tripping down to Texas, and I was talking to her. I was like, hey, I just want you to know you have it really good. But back when I was a kid, this is what I did. She's like, cool. She's
How
smart.
old's your stepdaughter?
She's smart. She's 9.
9.
She thinks she's fucking 13 or whatever. But she's awesome. I love Isla to death. But she's starting to get a little smart assy. But anyways, I'm telling her, like, hey, you know, you eat Chick-fil-A for dinner sometimes. You know, we go out and eat really nice, you know, steak dinners at certain places. And I just want you to be appreciative of that. Because when I was a kid, there was a lot of times we had cornbread and beans, and we ate Spam sandwiches, like a lot of times, right? We weren't so poor to where we couldn't eat, but there was times where my parents would like take loans or miss utility payments to provide for us as kids, and there's 5 of us boys in the house, so it just got really tough. And growing up,
it's a lot of mouths to feed,
yeah,
especially growing boys.
Yeah, my parents worked forever. And that just instills something in you, you know, that just, you know, that instills morals and disciplines in you that somebody who didn't go through that wouldn't have. And that kind of shifted my mindset when I became an adult, started making money in the Marine Corps, and I knew I had a career in security on making more money. That way I didn't have to put my family through the same childhood that I went through, right? Pretty much changing my family legacy. And I talk about that a lot on the finance side, but there's been a few times in my Marine Corps career where I had side hustles, you know, like motorcycles. I told you guys that I got into motorcycles pretty heavy. There was a good 2 years where I was just flipping bikes out of my garage. I'd buy them totaled insurance auctions, rebuild them, flip them, make $3 or $4 grand, keep doing that. That's what I like doing. And then back to this whole communication with your spouse conversation. You know, there's a lot of times where I talk to my ex-wife like, hey, you know, I want to do this. And she just shot it down, you know, and I'm not trying to degrade her in any way, but she just wasn't very supportive. So to answer your question, my entire Marine Corps career, I've had some sort of business mindset. And one of the things I love the most about my wife, and she complimented me on this the other day, is she supports everything I want to do. Everything.
I think that's one of the most important things you have to find in a relationship, actually.
Everything. Like I look at everything, I'm like, I can make money off of that. Or she brought up, she's like, you know, that's the thing I love about you. And I was like, what? She's like, you see an opportunity and you learn, or you know how to capitalize on it and build a business. I'm like, I mean, yeah, I grew up really poor. That's kind of how I have to operate. But she complimented me on it, and I've never heard that before. That made me think like, wow, I'm really lucky to have this woman in my life. But last year, so met my wife, 2022, got married really early, but I love her to death. We got pregnant. I was like, hey, I want to homeschool my kids. Like, public school system is fucked. I don't care what anybody says about it. I want to homeschool my kids. Like, that's what I want to do.
I'll agree with you on that. It's got so much worse in the last 5 years.
It's been the exact same for how long? Anyways, I was like, I want to homeschool my kids. Can I support that on my military salary? Yes. Are we going to live the life that we want to live? No. Right? I want to be able to drive whatever vehicle I want. I want to put you in whatever vehicle you want. I want to live where we want. Right? I want to be able to ride motorcycles and buy new ones and, you know, have nice things that I didn't have growing up.
Yep.
So I was actually looking for opportunities, and you know, I prayed about it, and somebody reached out on Instagram, Fernando Castro, awesome guy. He's a Marine vet, but he was looking to expand his business, and the same thing I do in finance. And he reached out like, hey man, you know, you have really good content on your Instagram, because I was posting a lot of leadership stuff because I was a recruiter. He's like, I think you could really excel in doing this. Let me know. Talked to him via Zoom. Well, I talked to the wife first, obviously. She was like, go for it. Let me know how it goes. Talked to him on Zoom. Went really well. They showed me, kind of ran me through what was going on, kind of how we operate, what we do, things like that. I took a week, talked to the wife, thought about it, and I was like, I think this is a leap. This is the opportunity I'm looking for. Like I said, I prayed about it. She was like, do it. And that's kind of my end on being able to provide for my family the way I want to provide for them. Not saying the Marine Corps doesn't pay me enough money to be able to do that. I make a pretty good living being 25 without a degree in the military. But again, homeschool supplies are expensive. My wife's bills are expensive. Like my kids' bills are going to be expensive. So I just wanted that extra financial security. But I started finance last November.
Which the thing that I feel like in our company, one thing I'm not going to say I'm the best at everything by any means. I have a whole entire office of people around me that are much better at a lot of things than I am. But one thing I've always had kind of a knack for is reading people. And I could tell when you came into our office the first time, like there's people that have their eyes open to opportunity. There's people that put blinders on to opportunities in life. We've had this conversation a lot of times on the podcast, and life is full of opportunities all day, every single day. And it's amazing how many opportunities present people in life and they put a blinder on that they don't take them. They don't jump at them. And it's, I'll say from Dre to Ricky to Dalton, Logan to, a lot of MMG that there was days that you looked at it that MMG was nothing glorious to be a part of, but it was the opportunity of what the future held for it. And there's companies that we've started with that in the early days of marketing, it sometimes isn't the most glorious thing, but it's understand the opportunity of what the future holds. And it was something that the way that you spoke about it was not of today's movement, but the future movement. And it's that you were looking at the game in a much different lens than most people, that it's like you sit with a lot of people, and I could tell really fast on how they talk, how they are processing things. And it's the game they're playing is very small. And to some people that probably is a perfectly fine way to live life, but it's they're always playing a reactive game. They're never proactive in saying, hey, and I think it's funny. We do have a lot of people come through to us from the financial space, because I think you're kind of right into the position of you're doing this to build a future and when you go into financial planning, when you go into doing all that, it's not like the reward's tomorrow.
No,
it's not. The reward isn't 6 months from now. Like when you talk to somebody, you're talking about what does 50 look like to you? What does 55 look like to you? What does the legacy of your family look like to you? To where it's really hard sometimes when you're talking to a business owner and you're talking the same forefront on marketing. And it's like day one, if somebody would have came to us on the marketing, I've been like, there's no way I have that money. And it took me 2 years to get into the mindset of, I'm going to go leverage $150,000 against my house to put at Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And my wife looked at me as I told her, I was like, we're either going to run this ship all the way to the fucking bottom of the ocean. I'm going to know it didn't work, or we're going to take it to the moon. But I'm like, I'm not just going to run this day-to-day movement that keeps me fucking drowning all the time.
Yep.
So it's like, I saw that immediately when you came in, just the thought process of how you were processing things. And that's where I know you're going to do huge things. You're still young. Like our company's young, and I feel like I'm getting old now that I just turned 30. It's like, it was really cool.
You're wise.
I will say Dalton told me his age. I didn't believe him.
Yeah. Dalton
no offense.
Dalton was the oldest one in the office.
Like, holy fuck. No, I'm just kidding. How old are you? I was suspecting like 26. How old are you? 32?
30.
Oh, sorry. 30. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Dalton is older than me, so
I think our oldest individual in the company is
32 now.
32.
Who's that?
Alex.
Ricky? Oh, sorry. I'm just kidding.
How old do you think Ricky is?
28?
27, you're close.
Oh! Okay.
But it was like, I look at too, though, is like what I try to instill in people all day, every day. Most people think my job of what I do is like marketing every day and all this shit. It's really how do I elevate MMG and the people inside it on a personal level, business development, whatever it may be, of just how do people move the needle forward every single day in their life. And
that's also a hurdle in itself, because
for sure,
individuals our age, it's like what school teaches you, you're not supposed to be at this point at this age.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be like, hey, you got a few years under your belt at your corporate job. You should be like steadily moving. Here in about 6 more years, you should feel like you have financial freedom.
Yeah.
And then you sit there and you got your kids to take care of, and it just always keeps you in a rut.
Yeah, I could talk about the rat race all day.
Dude, the rat race is so unreal, but it's like the thing is when you start teaching people how to, there's a lot of times people need to learn budgeting way before they even get themselves out of the rat race. And it's like, so I used to be the person that just attacked making more money. But it was like, even when I was in the car business, I was in the rat race. I worked 100 hours a week. Like I was trading my time for money, and our dad he's a great business guy, taught us a lot. And I feel like he got us 60% of the way there.
He showed us what hard work can get you.
Yeah.
He showed us, he's like, you work your ass off. And he's like, he showed us
he showed us majority of what we needed to know, but every business model is so different. And I am obsessed with learning. Like I eat, sleep, breathe it. And it's probably the one thing that frustrates my wife more than anything is she's like, all you think about 7 days a week is like how to scale, how to grow, how to get bigger, like how to do all these things. But it's like in the early days at MMG, like I didn't think about of all like the people that I was taking care of. And now it's like, I feel like there's 20 people around us now that rely on me. And it's like, but now it's like, how do I move the needle forward? That me working an extra 2 hours every day does not move the needle forward anymore. Like that's me helping grow people in the company, helping people on their personal finances, helping people on all these different forefronts. That's what actually moves the needle forward. Because if I can optimize 20 people to all be 10% better, that's way more than my extra 2 hours I put in every day.
Yep.
And one day there's gonna be 200 people that's like, I also look at that as like, that's how people buy into something is like, I think a lot of CEOs and founders and stuff just look at like their life movement. They don't look at everyone around them. Like I care more about the movement of everyone around me. I know my movement comes secondary to that, but it's like, that's like my biggest reward of what I get to watch. So I look at these 4 sitting in here right now, like who they are today to what we were, 2 years ago, like a world of difference from just complete actual business people to operation side to processes to the way that they take on a problem and they solve it.
Yep.
That it used to be, there weren't very many of us and I had problems all day, every single day. That everything came up the line to me. And now it's like half the time, none of it ever even makes it to me because there's this leadership team that it stops at that they can now handle all of those things. And it's like, and I look at it as like, we're just on the forefront of that to where it's like, I think that's a characteristic of people. And it's like, that's a lot of what I look for with companies and people that we partner with are they those kind of people?
Yeah.
Because those are the people that they're going to find success. We just want to be that person that throws gasoline on their fire to make it happen faster.
Yeah.
Somebody that sits there that absolutely has no characteristics of any of it, you can throw great marketing at it and you can maybe make it a little better here and there, but they're going to fall at some point.
Right.
And it's like,
and those are some of the conversations we have with, we're very fortunate we used to have our hands tied. Someone comes in, yells at you, you just take it.
in the
Now
car business.
Mm.
Now with this, it's like someone comes in, they're like, hey, this ain't working. It's like, hey, man, we've done X, Y, and Z. And like, we can see numbers. We're all pretty well versed on numbers. I'm like, if we give you 200 leads and you don't secure any of them, that's not our fault.
That's a problem. Yeah.
But it's having those conversations with business owners and having those hard conversations. Communication, once again, in business is just as crucial as it is in a relationship or anything else. And I look at everything that we take on is the same way that you're going to run a relationship at home. It's how you have to run a business. That if you don't communicate any of those things to someone, that's like us expecting you to know every single thing about marketing when we start. How's that fair?
Yeah, right.
And that's like you expecting us to know every single thing about all of the financial planning space. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
And that's on the rat race, what's your intake on your take on that?
Rat
We
race.
would love to hear it.
So, I think that's part of why I want to homeschool my kids, is because they don't teach that shit in school. How to be an entrepreneur, how to do anything with money, right? Hey, go to school forever, get a good job, work 40 hours a week for the rest of your life till age 65, and then try to retire. Like, what? You know? And
that's saying if our government system even has Social Security at that point.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's pretty wild right now. But and then looking at my parents, so like my parents worked their entire life and they don't have a retirement at all. Like my dad will work to the day he's dead. My mom will work to the day she dies, unless I or one of my brothers comes in and retires them. And that's a goal of mine, is to retire my parents.
It's one of my goals too, is the retire our parents. Like it that was one, like a 5-year goal, and we're gonna hit it. At 5 years we can retire our parents, and it was something that I told Dre the day we started. I was like, within 5 years our parents both turned 60. At that point we retire them, and that was our gift back to them.
That's the goal. But growing up and seeing that, and then looking at it now, like I don't want to work fucking the rest of my life. So my goal is to retire by the age of 40, or when I'm done with the Marine Corps, right? Whether I retire or not. I don't want to work past the age of 40. Like I don't. Like I want to be able to wake up and pay my mortgage or whatever, travel wherever I want, drive whatever vehicle I want, and just turn wrenches on motorcycles. That's what I want to do. Just get tatted, grow a heinous mustache. Like that's what I want to do in retirement.
Seems like you're like full speed right on track. It sounds like you've already built that reality.
That's it.
I just want to know how big this mustache is getting.
Hey man, this is the biggest it's ever been gotten, and I actually have to shave it off next week because I go back to work next week. My parental leave ends next week, but
And the second time around, how big is it getting?
oh dude, when I'm done with the Marine Corps, it's
Handlebars.
full flail. Like
Is it gonna curl?
somebody thought I was a fireman the other day, and I took it as a compliment.
It's a good compliment on
I was like, you know what, man, I'll take it. But to answer your question on my take on the rat race, like in the Marine Corps we have this saying, and I actually think it's military wide, but the Marine Corps we capitalize on it pretty well. But complacency kills. You ever heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
Staying in one spot is how you kill yourself, both emotionally, mentally, physically.
I tell everyone, happiness is found in progression.
That's it. And what I found is if I can force myself into an environment that's uncomfortable, that's going to do two things. It's either going to make me realize that I don't want to do it, I'm going to quit, which isn't the way I want to go, or it's going to force movement and propel me forward. And that's kind of where I'm at in my life. So when I was looking for a marketing agency, right, I didn't just see your Instagram and shoot a message. I watched your Instagram reels for like 2 weeks. That's what I did. I was like, okay, what kind of guys are these, right? And I was like, you know what? They seem pretty solid. And then that 2 weeks, I was talking to other people.
I appreciate
and
that.
I was telling you, I talked to a few different digital marketers, and I was just like, the fuck are you even doing? Like, if I sit down with you, and you're supposed to be, like you said, you're supposed to be a professional in the digital marketing space, and you're going to ask me what you do, I don't know, man. You tell me. You know what I'm saying? That happened a few times.
Yeah.
It did. And I was like, dude, I don't just want a website. Like, I want videography. I want photography. I want character. I want, friendships and business relationships. And I saw that when I saw you guys on social media. And I came in and talked to you. I was like, yeah, like this is, like, I feel good about this. And actually, after our meeting on that Friday, July 19th, I think it was, if I remember correctly, I went home and I was like, babe, this is it. I was like, do I have the capital to do this? No. You took 150 grand out of your home. I took money out of my retirement plan. And it was a huge leap, right?
Yep.
But what I did was I put myself in an environment that was either going to fail or succeed, and failure is not a fucking option.
I look at it as, so there's a bottle that sits right up there. That was our 4-year bottle of Dom for MMG. That was June 30th of this year that we popped that and drank it. On that, there's a quote that says 98% of companies fail in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
You know how many times I was told that when I started this?
Before you even opened it.
Before I ever even put online, you know how many people told me that 98% of companies fail in the first 2 years? I had people that I thought were friends of mine that were. I was like, well, I guess you really don't believe in me. Guess you.
You think you have friends?
Yeah.
I mean, friends I don't talk to anymore because they don't want my help or they don't support me.
Yeah.
Hey, deuces. Good luck.
And it was like I thought I had all these people, and the second I stepped out to go do something on my own, it was like the negativity I had from every different direction. And my wife, she was like, "You can do anything you fucking want."
People love to see you fail, bro.
So I have 98% of companies fail in the first 2 years, and I have my signature under it.
No, but I think that's the difference in. I would say our friend groups have changed dramatically in the last 4 years. Is used to it's like you think people are your friends, you go out, you do something, like dude, that's a dumb idea. And some of it might be.
I'm not going to say all my ideas.
No,
I would no way that
No,
that's.
I'm
I'm not saying every idea is a great idea, but it's like the people that are truly in your corner. Like, there's a few individuals that we talk to on a weekly basis. They're like, "Hey, what you're doing?" Like, they actually want to know, like, what do numbers look like? It's like, I'm at this level at my company. Let me give you my expertise of where you're at today, to kind of circumvent all those issues you're having to get to the next level faster.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? That's something that's essentially unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you actually have business professionals on your side wanting to see you succeed,
Yep.
which has honestly in the last 18 months pushed us forward. Probably the fastest out of anything was having 2 to 3 individuals help us on our trajectory, our processes, our operations, our finances, really sit down, deep dive into it. And they're like, this is what you need to do. Like, trim fat here, put money here. And they're like, and that's Dane sitting there. He's like, all right, I trust you.
Yeah.
Trusting the process and looking at a 3-year goal where when Dane started this company, he had a 3-year goal and hit it in, I don't know, 11 months. And then we're like, well,
But it was like,
what's our next 3-year goal?
Yeah.
when you start pushing forward, it was, I'm going to say I used to be very, very reserved, and I wasn't very good at listening to people. Like, I'll be the first to say that people would tell me things. And once I left the dealership space and I had a lot of the negativity I had from a lot of direction, I built all these walls around that I didn't want to listen to people. And as we progressed forward, I had a few guys that came our way, and they were friends of mine, and they are true friends, because I sat down with a couple of them and I'm like, hey, we had these conversations and everything. And I told them straight up, I was like, I do have walls up because I don't know who wants the best for me and who doesn't. And the first guy I was sitting with, he goes, I'll write you $150,000 check. Say I'm invested. And he goes, we can figure out the contracting later, everything. He goes, and he told me a percentage they want. And it was, he was on the losing side at that point. He was definitely on the losing side of it.
Yeah.
I was like, you haven't looked at our financials or anything. I was like, it's that percentage probably isn't worth that. And he goes, I know what you guys are going to do. And he goes, but if I give you that money, he goes, will you listen to me? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'll meet you at the bank tomorrow morning.
Before contracting, he paid us before contractors.
Next morning we were at the bank, and I'd known this guy for a long time. And then he even said, he goes, I had a company that he had to exit from and everything. And he goes, when I was in that company, he goes, when no one would give me the time of day to review my product, he goes, you did in the car business. It was a full circle thing that came back around, that I always treated people right when I was in the car business. And it was crazy how the world just puts you right where you're supposed to be, and it all happens the way it's supposed to. Yep. And then I had another guy's same thing. He comes my way and he was trying to give me a bunch of advice, things like that. And it wasn't like I wasn't even asking for money, but he's like, I want to be involved. I was like, I hear that from a lot of people. He's like, this is what I'll give you. And it was just immediately. And I was like, okay. So it's like I sit with those guys all the time, and their job is pretty much coming in to break our business model all the time.
Yep.
That they're invested. Like, I listen to them, and I have some guys that aren't invested that I have became really good friends with, that I know they do want the best for us. But it's a lot easier to get vested now that they've seen the big movement of it all.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot harder for people to get invested when it was rocking out in the basement.
Yeah.
when
our meetings were at the or we couldn't take you to the office. It's like somewhere over in Shoal Creek.
office is
So
full
Dane
right
would
now.
take him
You want to
to,
grab lunch?
Dane would take him to lunch.
But it was like, I mean, Dre bet on it, Ricky and Lauren bet on it, Dalton bet on it, Logan bet on it, and it's like, it's a lot easier now when people come on. They come into the office like, dude, I love to work here. Like, we have all these people reaching out.
Yeah.
Basement, we didn't have a grove of people reaching out and want to work for us.
Hey, bedroom. It's like, hey, I know you have like a pretty cush job. What if we just kind of rock it out in a bedroom?
What if you just came to my house and sat in this room?
Yeah.
Well, then when I think it was when Dalton came on, it's like Dalton and I sat at a desk. Dane sat at another desk, and we're in a bedroom upstairs. Summers, AC, heat rises. We're sitting up there. It's like 100-some degrees. We all have our shirts off, just working on laptops. I'm like, bro.
You find out who your friends are, man.
It is. And it's like, people ask all the time why I'm so aggressive in business and I do what I do. And it's because I believe in the people around me 1,000 times over. Like, and it's something you probably get a lot more to in the Marines and things like that. When you train next to a guy for a long time, you get to that person that you can really trust.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it comes same thing. Like when we had Hank on and he talks about the Army Ranger guys that are here in KC, like he trusts those guys through and through because of what they've been through and who those people are next to him.
Right.
That even though they don't work side by side, he always knows he has them in his corner. And it's, I think, the value of having people in your corner is such a big deal. And it's like, I think a lot of business owners don't have that. And I'm the first one. I'll sit with business owners and it's like, how can I be any resource possible? And we have people at all different levels. If there are some companies that are so big that they do need a lot of help in marketing and we can be that resource, but then they in return we get resources in a lot of different ways, from the operations side to management side to leadership side to whatever it may be. And it's like,
we also get to see it on a ramped up scale where we think an operation with 3,000 employees is just like flawless.
Yeah.
And then we sit there, we go in, we're working, and it's like, I'm like, dude, how's our communication better than theirs?
they're like, oh, it's just they've just been manning the shit show just at a bigger scale. Like,
I'm like, dude, they just have a really big shit show making a lot more money. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, man.
how did
I
you learn
agree.
about all the finance stuff though?
What I learned?
How did you learn? Like,
What I do?
yeah,
Just all myself. So, I mean, the company I'm with, Global Financial Impact, there's a lot of leadership there and a lot of people in my corner, which is something I really love about it.
How'd you find that company?
To reach out. Fernando reached out to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fernando?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we were actually with a different company. I can't tell you the name of the
That's
company,
fine.
but we were with a previous company. Let me give you a backstory. The previous company wasn't taking care of their agents nor their customers. It wasn't. It was captive. There were certain products we could market, and it was benefiting the company, not the agents or the customers. Right? It was benefiting the board of executives. And there was 2 people on that board of executives that pretty much came out. I was like, hey, the fuck are we doing here? Literally, like, are we going to actually, pay our agents some more money? Are we going to take care of our clients and customers? What are we doing? And said company came out. We're like, hey, we'll offer you a lot of money just to shut up and stay here. This is essentially what happened. They were like, no. So they left that company. They were making about $1 million a month, million bucks a month, left it behind. We'll talk about a leap. And they started GFI. And now Global Financial Impact is in the business of taking care of said agent and customer, right? Before the CEO and the vice president and the president, whoever, right? And that's what I love about it, because they want to see us grow. Like, they want to see us make a lot of money, right? Eric Olson, he's our CEO, right? His wife, Sandra, is the one that started GFI. Today, he was like, GFI is a distribution company, right? We want to help 1 million families in the next 10 years with whatever. We also want to make 100 millionaires in the next 10 years. And we want to make 1,000 six-figure earners in the next 12 months, right? And that's just so huge. You don't hear that coming from companies.
yeah.
But having that support system is awesome. And they do a good job at training you, teach you what we do. But there's so much involved in finance that a lot of people don't really understand. It takes a lot of self-progression as well. YouTube videos, podcasts, books, I was studying before I showed up today. Right, I was like, all right, I got 3 hours. So I can get some.
So how do
study.
you when you go study that stuff, which I think from a finance space, I struggle with this too because I watch a lot of stuff online. How do you filter the noise to know, does GFI have its own like kind of training side?
They do.
That it's because like I see stuff online and I was talking to 2 guys that work for us today. They're like, we're gonna do this, this, and this in the real estate space. I'm like, dude, just because every jack off fucking dude is trying to sell some course on that on TikTok and Instagram, that doesn't mean that's reality. You have to go find a bank that's willing to do that.
Right.
And I go, do you have a bank that's willing to do these deals that you're talking about?
Yeah.
I go, if you're going to go find a bank around here that's going to sell you real estate with 0% down, let me know when you find it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be on that trip.
Like, dude, this, yeah, for real. Like,
So Logan's laughing because he
has a lot of real estate.
Yeah, him and his dad have a lot of real estate in their portfolio.
but no, but it's like you see
He
all
did
these
not
like
get
TikTok
0%.
gurus are like, go buy real estate there. You'll do it with no money down. They'll do all this shit. They'll cover your closing costs. I'm like, and they're like, join my course for fucking $50 a month, and I'll teach you how to do it. And people get into it all the time, and you like actually go see stuff on these courses, and it's bullshit. And it's like, there's more noise out in our world today than ever before. So like, what's that look like from a finance side?
Dude, I get rocks thrown at me all the time.
Oh, for sure.
So there's products that different people talk about, right? I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to get you an IRA. I'm not going to sell you a 401k.
Neither am I. You should buy Dogecoin. Because mine is shit right now, and you should invest to pump the market.
You made me lose my train of thought. Jesus Christ. That was a curveball from fucking left field. All right.
Not selling 401ks or Roth
Yeah,
IRAs.
that's not what I do, right? And when I say financial professional, that's what a lot of people think. Like, oh, he's going to sell me some retirement plan that's been around since the 80s, whatever, right? I wear one hat. And a lot of people think I wear a lot of hats because I can help in a lot of different ways. But the one hat I wear is asset optimization and tax reduction. That's it. That's what I train myself on. Yes, I can offer you term life insurance. Yes, I can sell you a whole life policy, right? But my flagship product is an IUL, right? And there's a lot of rocks thrown at index universal life insurance. A lot of rocks. Dave Ramsey, for one, shouting you out or calling you out, brother. Like, people who just don't know will talk shit about what you're doing. That's just the reality, right? So
I'm actually, there's a lot of people that like Dave Ramsey. I'm not really a Dave Ramsey fan.
I'm not.
I look at,
He's good on some aspects.
what I'm saying is I think Dave Ramsey has a idea for, he helps people in the rat race.
I agree.
So he is not the person that is like, once again, I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong, but the person that brings in X and they're going to bring in X for the next 30 to 40 years of their life. Okay, putting some envelopes out and breaking it down. I think that's a good way to learn how to budget.
Yeah.
But then after I learned how to budget, my next step was figuring out how to go acquire more money.
Yeah.
And figure out
How
what
do I pay less in taxes?
exactly. And that's where you win in the country. Is
Hey,
like,
but if you're in a corporate job, you make 2% growth every year. You sit there, and Dave Ramsey might be for you, because like that's essentially, it's like, hey, that's what you're training in school. You're gonna come out of college, you're gonna make $60K,
Yep.
And then from there you're gonna work your life, and then you should retire around like maybe 98. And then it's like, all right, that's cool. Hopefully you put enough 401k in. Don't know how long you're gonna live, but you got about 8 years.
You know who Ted Bennett is?
I don't.
Ted Bennett is one of the people who created the 401k. And in 2017, 2018, he called it a monster. He's like, hey, this thing does not do what we thought it was going to do. And that people preach the 401k for so long. It's terrible. It's terrible. You're let me ask you this. Okay. For this table. Do you think taxes are going to stay the same, go down, or go up in the future?
Go up.
Okay.
I mean, what the,
Well, we're at 40%.
what was the I'm going to say the Tea Party with the
2%.
Boston
the
Tea Party.
Boston
Fighting
Tea
over
Party was over
2%.
2%.
Right.
What are we at now?
Bring that back. No, I'm just kidding.
I think we should do it again.
We think it's going up.
Let's
right?
rally around this. Bring back the Boston Tea Party.
we think taxes are going up.
Yeah.
Right? Why would you put your money in a vehicle where you think taxes are going to go up in the future, and you put your money into a vehicle that's tax deferred until you go to withdraw? Where does that make any sense?
Yeah.
You tell me? You tell me? Right? Roth IRA is cool. right? But if you make a lot of money, you can't even contribute to a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of people don't know that.
was it $6,000 a year?
You could contribute $7,500 a year, but if you make over 100 and I think it's 106. Don't quote me on this. I think it's 163 single household or 233 married. You cannot contribute to a Roth IRA.
Okay.
So what do you do? Right? It's kind of where I come in.
Put it in Switzerland.
I mean, sure.
We're going to
Swiss
put on
banks.
offshore accounts and Turks and Caicos.
But what I
Allegedly.
do,
Yeah.
Allegedly.
but what I do is I find people or I help people take the money that they have in these traditional accounts and put them in accounts that grow risk and tax free. It's that simple. And I say that people are like, oh, you're fucking bullshit. There's no way. Right? Well, I can show you the tax codes that says this. IRC 7702, 72E, 101A. Tax-free growth, tax-free access, tax-free death benefit. Right there. Right. That's what I try to do. That's what I try to educate on.
So
Yeah.
where do I sign?
We can talk after. No. And there's no contribution maximum you could do, right? Like I have clients who, hey man, I just sold a house. I have $400,000. What should I do with it? Okay, well we're gonna load this over the 5-course period. That way you don't lose any tax advantages, and then you can pull out 10% when you go to retire for the rest of your life. And they're like, holy shit, that easy right there in front of your face, right? And that's the hat I want to wear, right? That's the hat I try to wear, and that's what I educate myself in through various courses. And like Doug Andrew does a really good job. If you want to learn about it, go YouTube Doug Andrew. Like that dude's been selling the IUL since.
See,
It's been a thing.
I'm like one of those people that there's a lot that want to learn like everything. I've been like very kind of pinpointed and like very direct on like what I want to learn. And then I pay people around me to do all those other things. Like I have no desire to go learn the financial space.
Yeah.
My deal is just put people in my corner that know that I can then pay to
That's
do
the
that.
thing. You don't pay me to do anything. You don't pay a financial advisor, right?
You pay into a like, I think it's all on percentages. Like you get paid off percentages, right?
I get paid off a commission. I'll be
Yeah.
completely transparent. But I'm not charging you a fee every time I move your money around. It's not a thing in these things
Yeah.
we're talking about.
But it's like I look at too this. I also don't mind people making money. The business is built on making money.
And there's a lot of people who
People
don't
think,
agree with that.
yeah, there's people that think profit's a bad word.
But we
Yeah.
pay insurance. That's business. If we pay them every month, everyone in the country that can drive a car pays insurance. And I'm like, that's a business. And then you get into a crash, they screw you.
Think about a business model
98%
that
of the
you're.
time.
Think about a business model like that you're like required to pay into. Like that's what I think. is-
Legally, you're required to
like
pay into.
you have to pay one of us. Which one are you picking?
Yeah.
Like I look at it as I don't want to know insurance inside and out. I don't want to know financial advising. I want to know enough to help people market it. So it's like just enough to be dangerous to understand it.
Yeah.
But it's also a lot of times when you get so far in the weeds about knowing something, if you're marketing that way, it's way over the heads of anyone watching anyways.
People interpret at a third grade level.
Yeah.
Like no matter how you look at it, every research, anything you ever do, just individuals interpret things at third grade level. How do you put it into perspective where my point gets across, but you're getting enough information that you understand it?
You went in marketing with compression.
Yeah. I saw this thing today. So it was pretty cool. If you show somebody something, if you show somebody something, they're going to forget it. If you teach somebody something, they may remember it. If you involve somebody, they're going to use it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing of if you catch a man a fish, he'll eat.
Oh, let's see if Dre botches
No, if
this.
you catch-
Everyone's heard it, but let's see Dre botch
If you catch
it.
a fish, a man will eat for a night. But if you teach him how to fish, he'll feed him for life.
Yeah. Yeah. You know.
I mean, we cut that as a reel of you.
Cut
butchering
that.
like- no one's ever heard that one before.
No, but it's the exact
It
same
is.
thing where it's
It
like
is.
a finance industry. Someone's like, "Hey, you're in finance." Oh, they just think of money in general. But your type of finance, the finance I'm in, and then you go into a dealership, that type of finance, 3 completely different types of finance.
If I come up to us, hey man, I'm in finance. Can I help you with your money? You're like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
But if I'm like, hey man, I teach people how to optimize assets and reduce taxes. Is
100%.
that something I can help you with? You're like, oh shit, wait a minute. What'd you?
Take a step back.
I've never heard
How?
those words before.
Well, the thing is also when you get around people that are making real money,
Yeah.
I mean, the game changes after you hit a certain point, and
I don't care. Hey man, just make that thing grow.
It's also
at that point you're going off percentages. I'm like, what do my percentages look like year over year?
You just let me know how much you want invested, and I'll do it for you.
And also, when you talk about tax side,
yeah,
when you start that tax word,
yeah,
is something that it gets to where it's
you love it or you hate it.
No, everyone fucking hates it.
I think Trump kind of likes it.
No, but it's the thing is like you have to understand how to play the game. The government puts these fucking rules in place that people aren't smart enough to play the game correctly, and it's like playing Monopoly with your hands tied behind your back because you don't understand how the game is even played.
You can't move your piece. You can't even get to your piece.
Yeah, it's like you can't even roll because you don't know how the game's played. But then as you progress and you figure out how taxes works, you figure out how you're like, oh my God, I could be really good at this game because now I understand how the pieces move. I understand how, and it's looking at it from a bird's eye view. And it's like, I've in business, like,
dude, that's your rat race. Your rat race is getting back to go every time you go around the board. I just want to get my paycheck of $200 so I can survive another round.
Yeah. But the game scales. The game scales and it gets to a spot where your 200 pass go does not finish the game.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you want to win the game, you can't stay in the rat race. Your 200 pass go does not win the game, no matter what. And
I can't afford Broadway. No matter how you look at it, I can't afford Broadway.
But it's funny, like when you put like a lot of times you'll use those like analogies on things and people are like, yeah, haha, like I played Monopoly before. But business is a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's how can you become better at the game that you're playing every day? How can you become better at moving the pieces? If you want to look at it as a huge puzzle, there's a lot of business owners that are given all the puzzle pieces, and sometimes they don't even have the pieces to finish the puzzle.
Dude, how can you stack your property? I want to get 4 houses on my property.
It's like a game of chess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
But you're playing against the U.S. government.
Yeah.
And they have more pieces on their board.
But the difference is when you're playing this game against the U.S. government, they're telling you how they're moving their pieces. Most people just don't take the time to go do the research of them telling you how the pieces are moving. You're playing a game against the government, and they're going to tell you exactly how the game works. They're going to tell you their every move, but you're not disciplined enough to go learn to actually win. And there's billionaires out there and stuff that pay these huge...
Or go find an individual that knows how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hire them and let them play the game better than you.
100%.
Guess what? That saves you.
Like Bradley
years.
said. Bradley, you know who that is?
Bradley?
Do know who
Dude's
Bradley
a fucking animal.
He's like, yeah, man, I have 8 doctorates.
So,
They all work for me.
So the funny thing, so Ricky and I were at a conference in Utah, and he's talking about how he didn't pass like the 10th grade and everything. He's up on stage, and we're at this big closed event out at the Muscles house and everything. He's talking up there, and then he starts talking about like all these doctorates, all these MBAs and everything. I'm looking at Ricky. I'm like, this dude has to have been in fucking school every goddamn day since he I'm like, how is this possible? And then all of a sudden he goes, and they all work for me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, now it makes sense what you were saying.
You know what's awesome? Bradley's a part of GFI.
Yes.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Andy Elliott is now teamed up with GFI.
Yeah. I follow Andy Elliott. I follow those dudes. And they're just like, I look at too from, you go look at Andy Elliott stuff online. People talk so much shit on him.
I love that guy so much.
But it's like, the funny thing was when I was in the car business, so I have Andy Elliott's cell number, a guy connected with, I've been trying to get him on the podcast. Like, I just hate doing like digital ones.
Yeah.
I've thought about like hitting him up and just being like, hey, if we fly down there, can we just do one there? But it's like, people hate on him for the wrong reasons because he's winning. And I watched his videos when he was a nobody in Oklahoma in front of a whiteboard. I was in the car business. I was doing sales training 5 days a week. I came across him on YouTube out of like nowhere. Didn't have shit for views. And I was like, dude, this dude's got some legit shit to say. I'm sitting there like taking notes on everything he's saying. And I'm like, I'm going to go sell this to the sales guys in there. I'm like, so I was like knocking off his training every day. And I turned our dealership around off this training. And everyone's like, dude, how do you build your training and everything? I was like, I mean, pretty sharp guy. And I'm like, there's this dude. I found this dude on YouTube.
He would probably appreciate that.
Dude.
If you told him that, he'd probably be like, hell yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people weren't watching him at that time. They weren't. And I saw it right out the gate. I'm like, dude, solid.
Yeah, he did a retreat 2 weeks ago with some of the top producers at GFI.
Yeah.
At his Arizona home. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty legit.
Because when he was in Oklahoma, then he moved to Arizona, and like Lions Den, like the whole thing is just blown up. And like
The
I
dude's
was-
a smart business individual.
well, I was in Ricky and I were both in a lot of these like kind of like higher level groups there for a while. And Rick, you tell me if you think I'm wrong. I think a lot of them were kind of like hoorah things that like I kind of got to the spot where we went to that event. I'm going to say I learned one of the biggest things when I went to that event was that we weren't any different than those people. I thought we were going to go there and learn something crazy. Like I really thought like Ricky and I flew to Salt Lake, had the whole weekend out there, and I was like, we're gonna learn all the keys to business.
You're like, this guy just said fuck it one day, and then here he is.
I was like, we got there, and I'm like,
It's crazy.
we left, and I told Ricky, I was like, these guys aren't that different than us. I go, we can do these same things. Like when we were sitting at the Muscles house and everyone's having drinks and smoke cigars and stuff there, I was like, there wasn't a secret. I think for a long time in business, I thought I was waiting for some secret recipe that I couldn't find somewhere, and I was searching for it, and when I found out that wasn't out there, that was like the big movement that we started finding. But no, I think very highly of Andy Elliott. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks.
Yeah, I love that guy so much.
Brad Lee's a fucking animal at what he does.
He is. Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Sean Whalen was out there. I sat and talked with Sean for a while. Rob Bailey was out there.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, and I think one of the things I respect a lot about them too is they just say what they want.
Yeah. Yep.
They're not compressed by what other people think.
Yep.
They run their own race. They put themselves out there.
I think I'm at that point right now. I'm starting to figure that out.
But
I don't care.
But the thing is, you're going to own half the market really, really well,
Yeah.
and half the market's not going to like you. And I look at the spot that we came to a spot that a lot of people in the marketing space don't like us. I don't give a shit.
You're going to get rocks thrown at you, man.
Yeah.
Just like I said earlier.
Well, you don't like us because we're better?
People are going to throw rocks at you regardless.
Winners fucking win, losers fucking lose. That's how I run and operate life. Let winners win, and losers, they go the other fucking way. I don't really care what they do. And it's like a mentality in 2024 that it's like everyone's supposed to win, like equality for everyone. Like
Hey, participation.
I'm the
trophies,
first
man.
one that I want to help people out, and like we're involved in a lot of charitable things. Like I want to help people, like, but it's in a business side of it. It's a dog eat dog space, and it's
If you want to be here, then leave.
Yeah.
But if you tell me you want to be here, then I'll do everything in my power to help you.
exactly
But at the end of the day, it's up to you if you want it.
for sure.
I've had a lot of people that come to me like, "Hey, man, I want to be where you're at. I want to come work in finance," and I'll train them, and they just don't have it. They
Yeah.
just don't have the hunger for it. Like I'm hungry for it. Like I will work till midnight every day if I need to.
Yeah.
I will make shit happen. And I told my wife that. I'm like, babe, I will make this shit happen. Like there's not another option.
Yeah.
And then some people come in here and they're like, yeah, man, it's hard. I don't want to do this anymore. All right, bye. I'm not gonna keep you here. If you want to be here, then that's on you.
Yeah.
My job's not keeping you here and keeping you motivated. Like you need to find that yourself. But if you tell me you want to be here and you put in the work, then I'll give you the tools to be successful.
Yeah.
Even on the Marine Corps side as well. Being a leader in the Marine Corps isn't necessarily difficult, but you got to shift from having it as a title, which a lot of people do, to a skill set.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people say they're a leader, but they're terrible at it.
Mhm.
Right? If I have a Marine come up to me like, "Hey, Sergeant Neves, I need help with this," or I have this idea, can you help me with it? Or, "Hey, I see you're doing great. I want to do that too." Cool, man, let's do it. But you got to put in the work. A lot
Yeah.
of people don't do that.
Yeah. You have to put in the work for anything that you want. Yeah.
I think that even goes back into when our dad got in. Our dad does home runs, and when he first got into it, it's probably the first 12 months. He went to my mom and he's like, "I may have made a mistake." He's like, he came from labor, lawn, landscape, had a very successful company in that, and then got into finance. And he's like, the picture is always painted pretty well.
Yeah.
And got into it, and he's like, "Whoa, this is a lot more than I was expecting." And she's like, "You're not quitting. You're gonna do it." And ended up dove into it and became one of the top producers in Kansas City. But he's like, it's something where he's like at a point where I didn't know if I had it, his significant other sat there and was like, hey, you got it. Pushed him and pushed him to where he needed to be at.
The hardest person to face every single day is that man in the mirror.
Absolutely.
That's the hardest person that you have to please. If you can get to where you can look at that person in the mirror every single day, and it's you need the outside forces to help sometimes. There also comes to a point where you hit it where that man starts pushing itself, and then life becomes different.
If I'd have listened to my brain, I'd have been done with this last November. My wife's gonna watch this. She's gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Laid in bed after being on a computer for like 6 hours, like, babe, I don't know if this is it. If I'd have listened to myself, it would have been done a long time ago. But you just gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep going. A lot of people don't know that. You just gotta keep going.
Yep. It's the name of the game.
What's the worst case scenario?
You just gotta get through one more day.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
one more day.
Just keep going, dude.
Just keep going. One
I
more
want
day.
to quit every day.
Yeah.
I'll come out and say it. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, if I could work never again and make a lot of money, I would do it. Judge me how you want. I don't care. Right? But
If you figure that out, you're a fucking millionaire overnight.
shit's gotta fucking happen, big dog. Like,
Yeah.
like, I will put in the work for it. I will put in the work for it.
Yeah.
My brother made a comment. We were down in Texas last week visiting family. I took my son down there, 2-month-old son, so my family could meet him. And my brother's like, yeah, Zach's calling the big bucks now. I'm like, yeah, I work my fucking ass off. Like, you go work a 9 to 5 in the Marine Corps, come home and sit on a computer till midnight. Wake up at 6 a.m. and hit the gym. Tell me you're not fucking tired and want to quit. Right? You just gotta keep going. Like, the shit needs to happen, and you gotta fucking do it. It's that easy.
Yep.
It's that easy. Do I want to do this? No, I don't. I don't want to do it, but I have to do it to be able to provide for my family what I want to provide for my family and reach the goals that I want to reach, to be able to not do anything in retirement.
For sure.
That's the goal.
See, that's where the issue rises, because you're going to do that for so long, you ain't going to be able to sit still.
I think that's, yeah, I hope not.
You're creating habits.
Yeah, if you think you're retiring at 40, I used to say that, then I was like, you know what, 40, I ain't gonna be able to sit still.
Challenge accepted.
There's no way.
The individual we know that he's like, yeah, man, sold my company, all that. Now he's like, I think I'm getting into this company.
Yeah.
We're like, dude, this is your time to like relax.
And
He's
you're
like,
probably right.
And he's 60, and he's
You're
like,
probably right.
now he's involved in like 20 other things. He's like, I'm busier now than I've
Dude,
ever
if I
been.
could just wake up at like 9, go to the gym, eat, like, have a farmstead, eat clean, and just go turn wrenches on motorcycles, I'd be the happiest man on this planet. Like, just hang out with my kids, go on vacations with the family. Like, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
But
what
maybe
we need is money trees.
Yeah.
I think that's going to solve a lot of our problems.
It'd be
But-
nice, wouldn't it?
No, I very much enjoy your story. There's, tons of great insight. I have zero question that you're going to be successful in anything that you do.
Thank
you. The mindset is right. And I think that's the biggest factor in actually making it happen. But any final thoughts? Like I said, we could go for hours. We are going to drop this as 2 parts. So somebody's not seeing a 2-hour podcast drop up. But any final thoughts?
No, I appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, this is awesome. Love to do it again if you're willing to have me in the future. I enjoy sitting around and talking and sharing wisdom and things like that. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed being here. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
I think
for
we're
sure.
going to have to do a whole military podcast.
I know. One of these days, we're just going to bring everyone that we've known that's been like Armed Force side, just do one big, huge like garage
I
collab.
feel like some of us would probably end up fist fighting each other or something.
That would make for good content.
Hey, I guess we're going to see which sector's the best.
Just put a jiu-jitsu mat down and we can just grapple it out.
Yeah. Ricky, Dre, any final thoughts?
Glad you're on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
love
much
having you
appreciate it.
on, man.
Appreciate it.
That was a good time.
Cool. That's M3 Podcast. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.